Hi there, boys and girls. Mickey D here. You are now watching CMS TV. Stay tuned, and you're going to see more of me, maybe, or hear more of me.
Well, let's do this, Eric. Let's change directions a little bit. Now that I'm learning all about the mechanics of playing guitar for Stephen Pearcy,
okay,
let's see if we can get a collectible, an Erik Ferentino's collectible, as well as a Stephen Pearcy collectible. Maybe this guy can help us out. He is the owner of Knucklebonz, the CEO of Knucklebonz, which makes, I would argue, the best looking and the coolest of all the collectibles. He is Mr. Tony Simerman. Tony, how are you, man?
What's up, down under?
What is up, sir? How are you, man?
Good.
Excellent. Well, Tony, we were just talking. Erik, my co-host here, is the he plays guitar with Stephen Pearcy in Stephen Pearcy's band, and we're trying to figure out what we got to do, how we can convince you to do a Stephen Pearcy and Erik Ferentino's Knucklebonz collectible. What do we got to do?
You got to talk to the boss lady. You got to talk to the co-founder, Ashley.
Look at you pushing it right
She's
off.
a green light. I just do what they tell me.
we have some of your work displayed tonight here.
Yeah.
Through photographs.
That's Steve Stevens. That's one of my faves. We try not to play favorites. Anytime Knucklebonz does something, it's like our kids, right? So you can't like one better than another. But goddamn, look at that. That's what look at the dictionary in Rockstar, and that Steve Stevens. That's what a rockstar looks like.
Absolutely.
That's what I said. Earlier I said he's magical.
Yeah.
He really is. Well, Tony, let's dig into Knucklebonz, man. 2 decades of making. There's a lot of collectibles out there. Let's be honest. There's not just Knucklebonz. There's the pop rock stuff, and and obviously with the advent of the conventions, there's a zillion knockoffs that are all trying to knock off what you and just a few have been able to do. And what that is, in my eyes, and tell me if any of this is not true, but to me, what you've been able to do, create something that's cool every time out. Every single piece that you put out is very cool, and B, it appreciates in value. And finding that combination is very rare. Usually you can find something that's cool, but then somebody mass produces it so much that its value is shit, or it'll appreciate in value, but it doesn't necessarily look super cool. You've been able to bridge that gap pretty much since you started. So why don't we start there, man, and talk a little bit about what it is that you do, how it is that you envision a new piece, and then the process that you go through to get a piece from your mind to a table somewhere,
to a man or person cave. So
yes,
20 years ago, the collectibles category I've liked, ever since I was a kid. G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. I'm even old enough to remember Action fucking Jackson. That's how old I am.
Right.
But always loved the category and looked at it about 20 years ago and just identified plenty of people doing TV and film and pop culture stuff. And being a music super freak forever, we all know those fan bases are just as passionate as any Star Wars set of people or Marvel or anything like that.
Sure.
And nobody was really focused on it. People would come and go and do, pick off certain big artists and things. They'd do a Hendrix or some Beatles stuff, which is cool. But we thought, what if we were to do a line that focuses specifically on music? Is this something that could be a business? We had an idea that fans would show up if people made something authentic for them. So that was the original idea. Then we had to prove the point. We had to actually pick a product and launch it and make it. So with that thinking in mind, it was never going to be mass produced. It was going to be a limited edition collectible. And the idea of a limited edition collectible is when it's gone, you retire it, it's sold out. It can go up in value. We don't have, fans say what things are worth after that point, right? We don't have any say in that. So we thought about it, and we came up with the ideas. Let's do something that's, make things that are performance pieces. Like if you went and saw the band live, that's what I saw in 1960, 70, 80, 90, whatever.
Sure.
And so then we had to figure out, okay, we've got this grandiose idea. Who do we start with? What's the product that you would start with? And the obvious thing would say, well, you call up Maiden or Jimmy Page or, the big names that we all know.
Sure.
We thought, you know what? Well, eventually we'll get there. However, if we start with that and we have some success, we haven't proved anything, right? Because it could have been successful just because it's Jimmy Page. Anything we do with a big star like that, we might get a false positive, right?
Right.
So we looked at it and just said, we know musicians have their own little cliques, and guitar players in particular have their own neighborhoods.
Sure.
And we thought, Randy Rhoads. That would be the one. There's Randy freaks, but it's, Randy's not the biggest rock star if you're going to just look at Variety magazine or whatever. So we thought that would be the good one. If we can have success with that, we think we got something. So I called the Rhoads family and actually spoke with Dolores at Musonia, the school there in Burbank that she taught up right until the time she passed away, and went and told them what we wanted to do. And said, the reason we're starting with Randy. And they said, yeah. And then the real fun begins. Now we have to do what we say. We have to make something cool, and we have to get it to people around the world a few thousand times.
Sure.
So that was it in 2003. So that's about the time we get comfortable putting our credit card into a web feed.
Right. Okay.
Sure. So all those things come together. We're like, this product, we're never going to be at Target or Walmart on the end cap. We don't care.
Right.
We're going to be a fan-focused, direct-to-consumer company. So now that is very cool and what you should do. Then it was very radical, and people thought we were stupid or crazy or both.
Right. Well, and that's the interesting thing to me. I'm going to go back a little bit to what you were saying. I agree with you 1,000%. Not that you need my agreement, but obviously you could do Ozzy, and it's Ozzy. People buy it because, look, I got a Lemmy whatever right here. I don't know who makes this or whatever. This is a Lemmy action figure. It's sold to me not because it was made by the company. It's sold to me because it's Lemmy, and there's a million others like that. And you have a large collection of that. But the one thing that I think Knucklebonz does better than anybody is the fact that you don't just focus on the artist. You have artist ones, but you also like the one that you have right behind you with the Angus riding on Brian Johnson's shoulders. That's an iconic moment. It's an iconic vision. It's a moment that you've captured, not just the artist. And I think you guys do that a lot. And I think that takes a lot of vision, and it takes a lot of vision to kind of think like your audience. And I think that's lost a lot in the creative game these days, is thinking like the audience. Do you agree?
Yeah. The thing is, though, we're lucky around here because we don't have to think like the audience. We are the audience. We make stuff that we're pretty sure a few thousand people around the world are going to like this.
Sure.
And most of the time we're right. Now, are we super fans for everything we've ever created in 20 years? No, you can't, can't be a super fan for everything. But certainly have an appreciation for it, and know how we feel and how important the artists, were for us growing up. And just every time we do something, remember that this artist that we're doing, there's a few thousand people in the world. This is the most important thing to them. This defines them. This is what they tell their kids about. This is what they still put and talk about. Mm-hmm. So we try to, every time we do something new, we try to remember that this artist right here is the most important artist in the world to a lot of people. So
sure,
that way.
Are there pieces on the market that when you envisioned it, when you and your team envisioned it, you had a vision, and then when it was produced, for whatever reason, it just didn't turn out the way you wanted it to be?
Every time.
Oh, every time. Okay. Why so?
No, I haven't made something in 20 years where it gets to the end and I go, oh man.
So you have a sculptor that you work with? Is it you folks that do it right there, or as far as the original?
We do it here, and we have people around the world. My background's in fine arts and sculpting and animation, so I'm the designer and creative director. I don't sculpt much anymore. It's a young man's game. We don't function well as a company if I get to do the fun stuff. I get to do all the business stuff.
Delegating, right.
Everybody else gets to have the fun. Sculpting is the pleasurable part. But we have people in Europe, people in China, just about every time zone. So it's a long day here. We're in California, San Francisco Bay Area, home of thrash.
There you go.
Right.
So we're up early because we got to catch people in Europe before they check out. And then about the time we're wanting to wind down, Asia's waking up and they'll need something. It's a long day.
Right on. It's interesting you'd say that about the business thing. I have a very similar, I own the 5th largest arcade in the country. Pinball and video game arcade.
I'm a total pinball nerd.
Well, there you go.
We have to talk offline, just pinball.
Well, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, all my guys that work with me or work for me, they all make fun of me because I am the absolute worst at pinball. I mean, I suck. I'm terrible at it. And my answer is probably the same as your answer is, which is the minute I get good at it is the minute we stop making money, because I got to worry about paying the bills, keeping the lights on, getting asses through the door. It's the same thing. You can either focus on the creative or you can focus on the money, but you can't do them both, or else the business will fail because it becomes a fan thing instead of a business thing. True?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm the creative director and designer, so I design everything, but the hands-on production, I try to not go down that rabbit hole because you can't do a good job at everything. So it's a balance. But we've got great people on the team, and we're a small company. Everybody wears a lot of hats. We get a lot done with a few great people. But it's a business, and we're in the entertainment business, is what people that say, what do you do? And we're in the entertainment business. We're music merchandising.
Tony, can you give us any insight into which estates were more challenging to get permission from, or which corporations, or what have you?
It's easy. That conversation, even 10 years ago was different than it is today. Today, we're 20 years old. We're the only ones that have focused on music merchandising. So companies big and small typically know who we are, and
they know you'll do a good job.
What we do, and we don't mess around with artists' image and likeness and legacy. We do what we say.
Sure.
So we don't do much outbound licensing anymore. It's a lot of times it's the licensed bands and the talent will come to us, and it's a matter of us setting out a slate. We're not a huge company. We can only do so many projects a year.
Right.
We say we can make more money. We can't make more time. So we have to pick the products we think that fans really want to do the best. And
you don't want to do like a Jared from Subway or something. You don't want to waste your time on that.
We've been asked for so much, so much weird stuff. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I mean, I sometimes I don't think it's a joke. Like, this is real. They actually want us to, we do, right? So that the licensing part, while that is always a challenge, it's definitely easier today than it was,
in the beginning.
in the beginning. And the category has gotten bigger. 20 years ago, record labels still made money selling music, and artists merchandising was what the artists did to supplement not making a lot of money a lot of times selling music.
Sure.
So now it's come full circle, and the big companies, the Sonys, the Universals, they've all had to go back and pay a lot of money for the merchandising rights for all these bands.
Right.
So we'll work with the big companies, and then when we did King Diamond's project, we worked right with King and Livia, his wife. So we've worked any just about any company structure to get a project done. We've done over the 20 years.
Have you ever had anybody like? I'm not saying this is one at all, so I'll be clear in saying this is a hypothetical. Let's say somebody. let's say somebody like Dimebag. You obviously have a great Dimebag thing, and you've done the Pantera, which I gotta have. By the way, this one right here, I have to have this.
Yeah, let's look at some of the stuff from his
Hold on a minute, Eric. We will. There's the Dimebag right there. Let me put him back on full screen. Hold that back up. There he is. Look at that.
Reinventing the steel.
That thing is so sweet.
I don't know how well you see it.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's amazing. That's an amazing piece. And this
that was an interesting story. So a couple of times in the there's things that work in the universe. So I see Randy Rhoads in 1982 in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
For Ozzy on Diary of a Madman, and they go to play Knoxville the next day, and then Randy's gone the following day. So
right.
I mean, I still had the hangover from the show
wow
2 days before. So when we were the Dimebag statue, I was actually going to LA, and Zakk Wylde was going to be at a photo shoot, and we were going to just do some photos for his statue. He was up next. And of course he was good friends with Dime, and he told him what he was doing, and Dime had said, "What? Wait a minute. You're getting a Guitar Hero statue ahead of me? What the hell?" And so, what the hell's wrong with that? You need to. And so it was. We were gonna get introduced. So I see Damage Plan.
Okay.
A week and before going to see Zakk, and when I'm on the way to travel, fly early in the morning, I see the little news blurb on the TV that guitar player shot on stage, and of course it's Dime, and I immediately thought back to 1982 because I had just seen it.
Right. Wow.
And it was a really strange feeling. So didn't know what to do. Went to the airport, and then people got a hold of us, and we knew what had happened, but I didn't know what to do.
Sure.
So we talked about it and said, if the photo shoot goes on, you don't show up, if they decide they want to soldier through it. But Zakk was already in Dallas by then. So.
Okay. Wow. It's crazy.
Great, crazy, strange.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I guess I'll go back to my question while we're in this down spot, but have you had anybody that has licensed anything changed because a member or that person that you've done a piece on passed away, where it goes from the artist making the decision to the family making the decision about the licensing of the image?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that happens. We've had situations where we've had a license and we're far along doing everything, how we're supposed to. And an estate will occasionally have some hiccups with a band when somebody's no longer with us. And that will bite us. The Who set we did ended up just being
Roger.
Yeah. Where the Moon and Whistle Estates weren't
didn't
working
wanna
with
do
the Who as licensees at that time, and that will happen, a few times. We'll put out, a lineup, and there'll be somebody missing, and the fans will immediately, take issue with that. Like,
Right.
how dare you? It's like, guys, we asked the band, okay, who is the band? And this is the lineup they gave us. So, if somebody's missing, it's no, we didn't forget them.
Right.
Hey, where's John and Whistle?
Yeah, and I mean that's a music thing, right? That's famous. Bands are always,
Mm-hmm.
in and out of love with each other, and there's always issues around the business. So we're no different. That does happen.
Now, Tony, let me ask: is the biggest selling one from the Kiss fans out there? They were that are always into such things.
Kiss is, it's almost like its own country.
Right.
I don't want to say we don't relate anything we do with Kiss, but it's just, we know that the Kiss Army and fandom is there, and for over a decade we didn't bother doing any Kiss stuff.
Right.
We just thought, fans, they've got so much. Do they need us to do it? And the Kiss camp called us about, I guess, 8 years ago now, and just said, "What is wrong with you guys? Have you ever?"
Right.
Like, nothing. We just think, there's a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of it's really good.
Sure.
Do the fans really want us to do it? And the answer was, yeah, dummy.
Nice.
Right.
So yeah, we started, and we'll occasionally outsmart ourselves. Sometimes we will start with something that is something. We'll always try to pick something that somebody hasn't done, or something that try to give fans something different. So we started with the Love Gun era, which is cool. But you would think we would start with Alive or Destroyer. That would be the natural.
Right.
Thing.
Not Dress to Kill. You don't do Dress to Kill with those old timey 70s suits.
Yeah, with the suits, those are cool. The answer always, for Kiss is, are we going to do it? The answer is yes. It's just, what order are we going to do stuff? Right. So, breaking news here: the Destroyer set is up next for Kiss. Right,
that's the best one.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's that's when they take the production value. They were here when, with a lighted sign and some fog, and it goes there. I got to see that that tour with opening act Bob Seger.
Wow.
Bullet Band.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Back then you could have some wacky tour.
Mm-hmm.
Touring. It's not so much anymore, but you would get people you would think, what?
Rush opened up for them for a time.
Yeah, Ged and Gene are like best buds to this day. They're pretty tight.
Yeah, they did a lot of weird tours too. I have a poster on my wall that's Kiss with opening act Journey. So they did a lot of those oddball shows back then. Yeah,
and you just think the poor opening act. They probably got brutalized.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Kiss fans are so forgiving, right?
Right. No doubt. Well, Tony, one of our viewers wants to know about Van Halen. They'd love to see a Van Halen Knucklebonz. Is that?
So let me see. What can I say about Van Halen where I won't get into it, hurt anybody's feelings, or get into trouble? So, since the beginning of the company, maybe 2 or 3 years in. Remember, I said we're gonna start here. We're not gonna start. Got in contact with Eddie's management and would always get a thank you. Ed politely declines. So every year I'd have it on the calendar. About this time, as a matter of fact, every year it would be a different management group.
Right.
For Eddie in particular. and just plate, no. All of a sudden, this is over a decade ago. I get this weird email from an AOL email account, and I'm like, what is this? And it's
Sounds like Piercy.
hey, Tony, this is Ed. My manager didn't tell me about this statue thing that you want to do. Please call me. And I'm thinking, okay, who is
Right.
this is a really clever troll job.
Yeah. EVH at AOL.com.
Somebody's really good. Yeah, it's signed. You know,
Off for teacher 63 at
yeah,
AOL.
no, it's like the email was like PageMaster or something really odd.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was a phone number, so I'm like, okay, I'll play along. 310 blah 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 blah. And it's a voicemail, and I'm like, man, somebody's really gone to a lot of trouble. That sounded like Eddie Van Halen.
Wow.
And about 10 minutes later, Ed calls and says, hey, yeah, I just moved on from this management. I never saw this. This looks pretty cool. You know, do you still want to do it? And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we do. And it was right before holiday time.
Okay.
And he said, hey, Wolfie's coming in for holidays. Can we catch up after Christmas? And I said, absolutely.
Sure.
So call him after Christmas, no return calls. There's a new management group. Finally,
And
I get
that's
to Ed says, thank you. He politely declines.
Oh,
So 2 years ago, the Ed's attorney at that time, he used to be the lead attorney for Fender guitar.
Okay.
So we go way back with Fender, and we all know each other. And he was doing legal stuff for Ed, and he calls and said, we're talking about this collectible stuff with Ed. I know you talked about it in the past. Would you consider doing it? And I said, of course. So we started working on it, and the thing is basically finished, but Ed passed away right as we were finishing it. So the Eddie one's done.
Okay.
But now with him passing away, now the estate has to resettle and everything. So we had to just put a pin in it.
Right.
So for us to go, there's no such thing as Van Halen management, right? It's a bunch of different.
Sure, it's all new people. It's
ever
Dave's
changing
people and Alex's people, and
right. So never say never, because we got the Sabbath set done with all the original guys.
sure.
It can happen at some point. It doesn't look like that's something we're going to be able to give you anytime soon, but
Right.
that's
There's a chance, folks.
Know
There's a chance.
we've got a beautiful design with Ed on one knee in front of the original stacks with the speaker bomb, like on the first tour,
Nice.
with the white guitar and the
Black stripes.
the nice bell bottom.
Nice.
Nice
Like
bell
a
bottom
77, 78 era, like that early era. Nice.
78. I was like, they opened for Sabbath when I first saw them on the Never Say Die tour. Like,
Sure.
I remember we're going there, and the record has just come out, and I'm talking shit on the way over there. It's all about this guy right here.
There you go.
We're not gonna hear. That's all studio shit. We're not gonna hear any of that Eruption shit live. They come out and they got about 35 minutes. And I mean, I love Van Halen, but Van Halen's not my favorite band, so I'm not like super fanboy.
Okay.
It might be the most amazing 35-minute set I ever saw. They were so good, it like hurt my feelings.
Nice.
It was like, God damn. I mean, Sabbath came out, and Sabbath at that time, I think if you talk to the Sabbath camp, they'll tell you that's not it. They're not performing at their highest. Van Halen, that's on their first national tour. But yeah, I can remember kind of being down a little bit because Van Halen was so goddamn good. Amazing.
Right. Dude, are there artists, and I know this from doing this. I've been interviewing and being a radio guy for like 20 some years. So I've met my heroes, the same as you. I've met them all, from Metallica to the smallest bands. I've met everybody I would ever want to meet. That being said, some of them I wish I hadn't. Some of them
better to have heroes. Yeah.
Yes. For you, are there guys that you've worked with that you went into it completely pumped up, where you were like, I can't believe I'm working with blah blah blah, and then when you met them, they were just complete dicks and just a pain in the ass, didn't like their facial expression on the collectible, or didn't like the way the pants looked or the way the fingers hold the guitar, just were such pains in the ass that it really spoiled them for you?
We've been lucky, and typically when we've dealt directly with the artist and we haven't, had management in between,
right?
The artists themselves have always been pretty cool to bury. Artist management, people in between us and them can make things complicated at times. But what we say is, look, we've been doing this a long time. We're good at what we do.
Sure.
But we will take notes, and we will revise to the end of time until everybody's happy.
Okay.
And all we ask is, when you're giving us feedback, we're happy to make the change. The only thing I want to be able to say every time is, this change is making the piece better.
Sure.
That's all we ask. I don't care how small the revision is.
Right. So
I just want the piece to be getting better.
What is the process length on the average piece? Is it 3 months, a year? How long does it take from concept in your mind through talking and getting approvals to designing something to getting approval to getting it, for sale?
I mean, it can vary widely. If we know, okay, that we're doing the artist and we're doing this era, and it's going to be this costume and this guitar or whatever. So we've got that part out of the way, and we can dive right in on, okay, what's a pose, what's iconic from that era.
Sure.
You can be ready with something to show in as little as 2 or 3 weeks with a very finished statue design.
Okay. Wow.
It can be that fast, or it can be, we've missed 2 Christmases with some artists, which I won't mention.
One of them's not on the screen right now, is it?
No, not them.
Because I know the guy in the middle there has been known to be a little difficult about everything.
Gunners are angels. They have worked great with us. Slash had some changes that he wanted to do on these designs. Axel and Duff had no changes.
All right. Just because it's not on this one, why no hat on Slash? You're just like the only one I think I've ever seen without the hat.
Well, because we've done this, we've done two previous Slash statues, and they both had the hat.
Okay.
And just, when I say we're trying to do that live moment, if when you see, Gonz, especially today, he wears the hat a really small part of the show.
Yeah, true.
He may come out in it, and he'll do some encore stuff in it.
I saw him at the airport once, and the TSA made him take his hat off, which I thought was like, you motherfuckers making shit. That's goddamn Slash right there. He's not going to take down the plane. But,
no, we talked about it, and I said, you know what? There's going to be people that say, "Where's the hat?" But I just like doing something different. As a collector, that's the piece that
I like it.
I wanted right there.
Looks
no,
awesome.
I love the way this is what, like 91, 92 era? Is
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
you're going for? Yeah, that's the peak look. And for people that aren't old enough to remember, the most iconic part about the one that's on the screen right now is Axel's mic stand, because it was a visual piece of the show. It really was, and you captured that beautifully. It's so cool.
With the mean machine jersey.
Yep. It's too cool. Let's look through a couple more.
No, guns. Since they've gotten back together and touring, our dealings with them has been fantastic.
Okay.
Get back in a reasonable time. The nightmare for us is we've got something and everything needs to be officially approved. We've sent it in. We say we think we're ready, and somebody just doesn't get back to us.
Right.
It's all engine stop. That's the one thing we don't have an answer for. If somebody just doesn't get back.
Sure.
That happened on the first Jimmy Page statues. We signed the license, and Jimmy was doing a lot of stuff for the rainforest and charities, and so he was in South America a lot. And he had said, "I really want the Knucklebonz to see the poppy suit, which is the white dragon suit. He calls that the poppy suit.
Okay.
I really want them to see it and photograph it." And we're like, "Well, hell yeah, of course." And it's like, okay, well, when do you want us there? Let us check with Jimmy. So, a year passes and we're dead in the water. And I finally just went to the management and said, "Guys, we're going to have to tear up this agreement, just come back to it when Jimmy's, a little more available."
Right.
Said, "Actually, I think he might be coming back next week. Let me check." And they got right back to us and said, "Can you be in London next week? Jimmy has the suit. Wants you to come."
It's at Aleister Crowley's house.
I don't know. Jimmy has 5. They told us he has 5 different properties right in London. So this particular house was one of his working houses. So we fly to England, and it's Ashley, my wife, the co-founder, and I, and we've got our photos set up, and he's hired a 6'1" female fashion model to model the suit. He was 6'1" with a 26-inch waist in 1970.
Jeez.
Rockstar chic.
Right.
So we have the meeting the night before. The management comes over and meets us at our hotel and is like, "Here's the rules for meeting Jimmy." And I'm like, "Oh God."
Right.
Here we go. Don't say this. Don't talk about this. Don't have to. I'm like, "So basically, don't talk to Jimmy and just take photos." "No, that's not what we're saying." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." This is so we just think this, and we're not sure if Jimmy's going to be there, but the suit's going to be there, and only one of you can go. And then they have to get up and go and take a call. And my wife was like, she actually needs the help with the production bit. She's like, "Oh my God, he came all this way." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, just don't say anything."
Husband and wife, come on.
I'm gonna fix this. So when I come back and I'm like, "Okay, so I'm gonna be doing a live photo shoot with a live feed, and I'm gonna have to be posing the model to make sure they don't move, because every shot has to match to help the sculptor. And if this screws up, who here's gonna take the blame? Because they're not gonna be us. So you need to do what Ashley's going to do." "Who's doing it?" Let's call you right back." Hello. Yeah, all good. So it's okay. "Well, give us the address. We'll see you there tomorrow." "Well, we can't give you the address to Jimmy Page's house. We'll have a car pick you up."
What? Come on.
Fine.
Put a hood on your head.
Yeah, put a hood on your head.
So we're like, fine. And the meeting's 10 o'clock. Car shows up 9:30. Drives us to these townhomes not far off Piccadilly. And, they're nice. But I'm looking at them going, man, the back catalog's not doing that great. These houses don't look like. These don't look like Jimmy Page places to me. So they drop us off, and they're like, "There it is." Okay. So on the cell phone, and we go in, and there's this townhouse, and there's some music posters around, and I call the manager, and I'm like, "Okay, we're here." He's like, "Well, where are you?" "Well, we're downstairs." "Well, come upstairs. That's where we are." So we go upstairs, and there's like a secretary in an office, and I'm like, "We're supposed to meet Jimmy Page and his manager." Looks at her like Jimmy Page? What the hell?
Jeez.
So I call him back up and say, we're upstairs. It's like, you can't be upstairs. Tell me, look around. I'm like, okay, well, you got this Woodstock poster over here. It's like, you're at Sanctuary Records. You're at the wrong place. You're late. It was your friggin' driver that dropped us off at the wrong place. So now they have to give us the address. And we're late. We're all stressed. So we go over to another set of townhomes that is like, okay, these are townhomes that look like aircraft hangars. This is Jimmy's neighborhood.
Right.
When we go in through the basement, there's a bunch of Marshall stuff laying around in the basement to go into the back. We're going up to the work area, and I hear him. I can hear him talking.
Nice.
So we go up, and Jimmy, the managers are trying to like be all handling and everything. Jimmy's like, get out of the way.
Right.
Super cool. Was super interested in all the details on how we were going to make it, because he's a production guy, right?
Sure.
So he had a ton of really I can't believe Jimmy Page actually wants to know this stuff.
Nice.
So a beautiful fashion model was there in the poppy suit. I've still got the stunning photographs from it. It was quite amazing. But yeah, we got to photograph the poppy suit, and Jimmy's known for being really particular. We got through both of Jimmy's projects flawlessly. Those are two of the best things that we've done in 20 years, I think.
Sure.
Well, so the poppy suit, like, is this like, because he has the dragon?
Is
it like chase the dragon?
It's the white suit with the poppy and dragon on it. It's back. Can you see where I'm pointing? It's actually back.
It's off screen. It's off screen.
You want me to get it?
Yeah, get it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, we do.
Let's see what we got.
I was thinking like poppy seeds to make heroin and then like a chase the dragon kind of fucking thing.
I don't think that's what it is.
I think so.
Well, see the side of the suit. That's the poppy.
There it is. Wow, that is cool.
So then the back is all that's embroidered. So we did super detailed.
Man, that is cool.
Photographs.
Nice.
That's all sculpted and then hand painted.
Wow.
So
it's got the 59 Les Paul and
so that's
bow.
What is that? Is that the number? That's the number 2, right?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the one is the more reddish one, I think.
Right. Dude, how much does eBay hurt your business? And what I mean by that is, you do astounding work, and you set a price for it, and it's pretty reasonable, really. There definitely is some pieces that I want to buy that might be a little out of my range, but that being said, you pay for what there's a value to it. Mm-hmm. And I get that. But then you go to eBay and you see the same pieces for like $950 for a $200 piece. And again, this is just as a fan speaking, but if that's the first place somebody sees it, they think that everything you sell is that level too before they ever go to your website. And I think that actually probably hurts the collectibles, because people, they kind of base off of what they see on eBay, which is the bigger, freer site to see the stuff. Does it hurt you, or do you not even look at that avenue?
No, we look at it because we're constantly looking for chicanery.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
What we did 5 years ago, where pieces are sold out pieces are expensive. I don't have any specific data to say that hurts us.
Okay.
What I know is, we're a super fan and collectors company.
Sure.
I know that the people who have, continued to be with us for 20 years absolutely love that, because they know they've invested something and it's gone up in value. But again, it's the price of it is whatever the fans decide it is. We don't play in the secondary market, really. Okay. But what I would say is distribution in the U.S. is much different than it was 5 years ago. We sold through distributors in the U.S. who would sell to smaller retailers who could do online stores and things like that. And what we found a practice was people would get a new piece and have an eBay store, and they would put one of our brand new pieces out there, and they would do an auction for $1.
Okay.
Using our, brand new, super hot collectible as a loss leader to get people to their store.
Right.
And that's when we said no bueno to that. So 5 years ago, we cut everybody off in the U.S. If you buy something from Knucklebonz now in the United States, we are the sole source online.
Okay.
So if you're seeing something online and it's a new piece, you better read the fine print. That might not be as advertised.
Right.
That was because, in that instance, people are just not doing the right thing, right? You got a high-end piece and somebody's just throwing it out there for a marketing goof.
I hope nobody steals Scully's image, Chris.
Yeah, well, I don't think Scully's going to have the same influence as the Knucklebonz pieces.
I don't know, man. Sure. He's getting pretty popular.
Yeah, well, not quite that popular, but well, Tony, let me ask you this, man. Doing this, you're as aware as I am that there's just not new big rock stars coming up. There's just not, and I wish there were. There's a lot of great bands, but there's none that are super iconic.
You're not going to do a Wolfie Van Halen one?
if Wolfie calls us, we'll absolutely do
that. Do you worry that there's not going to be new, like would there be a kill switch?
I wouldn't say I'm worried about it. And this is what I know. Rock's doing just fine. And there's more talent and as much passion as there's ever been. The issue is, when we grew up, or certainly when I grew up, things were still curated, right? You had label system and you went to a record store and you found out things virally, or you went and just saw an album cover and you bought records.
Right.
Because the album looked cool. It wasn't getting played on the radio, and that's how you did things. So it was, and you just had less entertainment to choose from, right? So there's a better chance for just severe, fandom and reverence. But, the rock stars are there and they're as amazing as ever, but it's a goddamn fire hose. It's a lot of, we had the sprinkler for, in the yard, and we're drinking like that.
Right.
Everybody else is
right.
Here's all this amazing shit. How the hell do you find it? How do you create reverence for it?
Right.
It's just harder. But there's always going to be rock stars. I think they merge in different ways. I mean, a good example is Ghost. I know that band triggers some people. Not metal enough. Too metal.
They have a great image for figures,
but
though.
There's somebody that a band that struggled, and all of a sudden, 10 years ago that the pop emeritus thing hits, and now Ghost is one of our biggest sellers, and that's a band that's a decade old, and most of it, and think about it, we're a handmade piece of fine art. Generally, that's going to be, that might be the band that you listen to in your 20s, and now you're in your 30s. Right. And that's when it becomes something that we should probably get involved in.
Okay.
So I'm not worried, because there's amazing, cool stuff. My daughters are 18 and 20, so they'll bring me stuff to check out, and I'll be like, that's badass. But yeah, I mean, it's maybe 10 years removed. Think of it that way. When we first started, Slipknot was the new metal oddity, and now they're it's classic rock now.
Right.
Crazy.
Right.
So I think it's evergreen, and as you know, the rock metal genre, it's like this, right? It's steady. We're not going anywhere. We don't get those huge spikes, that, you know, pop and other musical genres get, but we also don't get the valleys. You know, it's never going to go away. We're metal hard rock heads are super stubborn. They're going to make sure, right?
Right. And metal people more than anybody else want to support the art. They want to support.
They're underserved. And I mean, that's the reason Knucklebonz, that was our thinking. There are fan bases that are underserved. You know, who's going to take a crack at this other than Knucklebonz right here?
Nice.
Wow.
Epicus, Dumicus, Metallicus.
That's awesome.
Candlemass just came through here, and it's the first time I've been out to a show in a smaller venue.
Sure.
And there was some full-on thuggery down front, and the pit was super active. It was awesome.
Right.
Nice. You still get in there and do it? I haven't tried that since I was a teenager. It's dangerous.
I'm talking big shit. I was up on a balcony. I was taken care of by Candlemass. I wanted to, but I thought.
Yeah, you were amused just watching it from up above.
Well, that's the thing. I'm from above, so I'm like got the telestrator out, saying, "Okay, that was an amazing move." And you know, for the most part, you know, there was a thuggery, but you know, rules were upheld. Rule number 1: somebody falls down, help their ass up.
Yeah.
Rule number 1.
Yeah, but rule number 2 is once you pass 40, you don't recover from the pit like you did when you were 20.
Somebody can't help you up. You're down for the count.
I know. I'll tell you both this story real quick. 10 years ago, I know for a fact it was 10 years ago. I was at a Seven Dust. It was Seven Dust and a Reunited Coal Chamber show. And I just decided, okay, I hadn't been in the pit in a while. I was going to get back in the pit. Got back in the pit for Seven Dust. I got knocked to the floor and I hit the floor so hard. I don't think I've ever been hit harder by anything in my life. And I just was like, this is my last time I'm ever going to be in the pit. I came out, my whole leg was black and blue. I was like, I think I've passed the point. I'm too old for this now. And I hate it because I want to get in. It's like the mind wants it, but the body sure don't.
It was funny. The kids, the daughters are down in LA, and so they were here in San Francisco, and that we got them in the show in LA, and they were, you know, they're making old people jokes.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I said, I'm going to tell you now. You just think it through. If you want to be, don't get near the front.
Yeah.
And they didn't listen, and it was apparently even more carnage than here. They retreat.
Yeah, right.
It was like, Dad, there was nowhere to go. I'm like, that's
it
what
was a sea of bodies.
That's it. You get in a venue like that, and the blood hits the water.
That's right.
The bodies were hitting the floor, Dad.
Let the bodies hit the float. And they were like, Dad, was that what it's like in the day? And I'm like, you're in the day. That you just went to a doom metal show. That's what they're like. Oh my God.
And the crazy thing is, living where you are, as crazy as that may have been, that doesn't touch an Exodus show at Ruthie's in 1989 or whatever.
God no. God no. I mean, this was the, you know, the cross-training CrossFit version of it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the bands and the crowd, everything was faster.
Oh yeah.
I would always be the one that, like, somebody would go over the top, and I'd get like the like fluke injury of, you know, getting kicked in the ear, like right at the beginning. So you have an injury, you have to fight through the rest of the show.
Nice. Yeah.
So Raging Slab opened for Megadeth.
Okay.
And the Raging Slab people were there early, and it was like, wow, this is a supporting band. A lot of support, a lot of people who are early, and yeah, somebody goes over the top, boots me right in the side of the friggin' head, and my ear had a heartbeat the rest of the show.
Man, I used to live out there in the glory days. I lived out there I was in the military, so I was there from 88 to 92. I was stationed at Fort Ord, so I used to every weekend. Yeah. So every single weekend for me was driving up to San Francisco, and it was either Ruthie's Inn, the Omni, the Stone, whatever, and it didn't matter what was coming. It just was like
war at the Warfield,
all those places, and you would go. I would go anyway. I didn't even care. Truthfully, I didn't know the bands that I was seeing. It could be the Cosmic Cowboys, or it could be the organization, which was Death Angel, basically with a different singer. And it was like, who cares?
They're from right over here in the East Bay.
Yeah, and I used to love that scene. And you try to explain that to people now, they just don't get it. They just don't when you tell them that Exodus was a bigger band than Metallica, nobody even believes it. They're just like, no, that can't be. And it's like, yes, they were.
That's the one that you think, you know what there's something wrong with the Cosmos. Cause I mean, that one, why does one happen and one doesn't,
There's a parallel universe somewhere where the Toxic Waltz is the number one song.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, back then, it's so weird.
Metal Church is another one that I think, man, that's just underrated,
Yeah. Well, the only reason Metal Church, I believe, the only reason Metal Church didn't break out was because they were further north. Because they were from Seattle or Washington area. And if they would have just moved, to San Francisco, they might have been the biggest band to come out of the whole scene, because they not only were they great as a metal band, but they had almost that Skid Row-y sort of ballads, but better, harder, better, Gods of Wrath, or, Let Us Pray, Let's Watch the Children Pray.
I bought that record, the Metal Church one with the
Metal Church.
Or Ton of Bricks.
I mean, they were so good. I agree with you. Metal Church, another one that could have, but there's always those bands. I think we all probably have that band that we look at and are like, how is this band? I always point to Skin Lab. How did Machine Head get to be a giant band? And Skin Lab, that was arguably a better band. Most people that are listening even today are like, who are they?
They did a whole show on those bands that are like, man, I'd love to just, why did it go down?
Yep.
Sacred Reich, another one.
Sacred Reich's another one, yeah.
That just, God, why didn't people get the joke in the ass? I saw them open for Pantera. Another injury, 30 seconds in the pit. Somebody comes over the top, kicks me right in the goddamn eye.
Jesus.
Earache my eye.
I'm like 20 whatever. I'm like, is it ever gonna get better?
No, you had a Cheech and Chong one. I just dropped a earache my eye joke in there. I thought that was a good segue to your Cheech and Chong's. Pretty cool too.
Pantera is a good one for getting injured, though. I got hurt at a Pantera. It was Pantera, Sepultura, and Biohazard on.
I saw that. I saw that tour.
And
that was
brutal.
Oh.
And I was down in the mosh pit just crushing, until somebody just came off and landed right square on top of my head and just compacted my spine. And I was like, oh God, kill me.
Yeah, that's somebody going over the top. It's always the punch you don't see.
Yep.
You see them coming, that's fine. But they come from back here.
Yeah.
Oh bueno. That one, that show we were lucky because I saw them in Virginia, which is like a big swamp.
Okay.
And it was like 95 with 112% humidity. So it was so friggin' hot. The thuggery, by the time Pantera got there, people were kind of worn out.
Right. Nice.
Happily moshing.
Right. Exactly. Well, Tony, this has been a lot of fun, man. I'd love to have you come back on at some time just to shoot the shit about metal. Not even about.
We should do it. Let's pick a time when we're going announce something new. We'll broadcast it. We'll bust a move on it live here.
Absolutely, man. Dude, doors always up. We're on every Monday, 8 to 10 Eastern. you know, the door's open for you if whenever you want to do it, even if you don't want to promote something, if you just want to come on and shoot the shit about great shows or whatever.
We're here in the silo, you know, we're just at it all the time.
Sure.
Trying to get all the stuff that we've got on plate to the fans. And it reminds me I don't get to just shoot the shit about music and metal and everything, you know, we're kind of inoculated from it here. We're just so damn busy. It's nice just to shoot the shit as a
yeah. Very cool. Well, Tony, obviously, man, we do want to tell people go over to Knucklebonz, knucklebonz.com, correct?
That's right. And knuckle like your hand, B-O-N-Z.
B-O-N-Z, like the guy from Stuck Mojo, Bones. That Bones. And you guys have been more than gracious enough to give us a little code that I will put in the description of the video for 10% off for the next 2 weeks. So if you guys want to buy something, that's a pretty good amount of savings on some of these pieces. And even if it's not a big savings on some of the other pieces,
that's like no tax.
Yeah, it's like no tax. That's perfect.
Free shipping.
And let's be honest, free shipping. And if you could have this on your table, I mean, come on. Look at that thing. That's the one I'm buying.
That one right there to design was a chore.
How bad?
Because, you know, it's the perspective is cheated, and you know what can you actually see in the way that is done, and to get it to where it was a good 3D vinyl piece, it took some doing, but we're real happy with it.
Well, I can tell you for a fact, you're going to be even happier when my $155 shows up, because I'm for sure buying this piece. When I saw it on your website, I was like, gotta have 100% have to have that piece. So
let me ask you this. So we've done with Pantera. So we've done Vulgar Display.
Mm-hmm.
Did that one for 3D vinyl. We've done the Cowboys from Hell era, Reinventing the Steel set. And we've done Far Beyond Driven. What would you like us to see us to do for Pantera?
I would honestly, if I was going to do a Pantera one, I would like to see just if you could find the imagery, and I don't know the process real well, but if you could find the imagery from the 1990, but the very specific, the Russia shows, where they were all at their leanest and their meanest, and Phil had the mohawk, the longer mohawk going, and I mean they were just intense.
So that's Cowboys.
That's Cowboys era.
That's Cowboys era. So we did the Cowboys set. So there's a Phil. The problem is it's sold out now, but
right.
That Phil with where he still had the mohawk.
Yeah.
And then he shaves it for the Vulgar Display era.
Right.
How about that? Would you like the Southern Trendkill Snake?
Oh my God, yes.
The Red Snake.
That's my favorite album of the Pantera era. Is Great Southern Trendkill. Oh yeah, I love it. It's so heavy. It's such a heavy, meaty record. Oh yes,
super dark and heavy.
Yeah, and they had Seth from Anal Cunt, doing all the screams on the album and stuff. Hell yes, the heavier the better for me. I love you can't make it extreme enough for me. So. You know, that's by far my favorite. And even watching Pantera today, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but my background is the current Pantera tour.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I mean, they've done such a nice job, even with the staging, with the snake and to really capture that.
Have you got to see one of the shows?
I'm going. The first one that's coming even near me is in July, but I'm going July, like one night in Pittsburgh and then the next night in Indy. So, and then I'm going again in November for the Metallica tour. I'm going to go see it with Metallica as well. So I'm very pumped to see the Pantera.
you never know when it's going to get taken away. Get out there and the bands.
Would you consider doing, and this might be the blasphemy that might cause the company problems, would you do a current Pantera with Charlie and Zach?
If Pantera wanted us to do it, absolutely.
Sure. Would you want to do it?
Yeah, I'm a Pantera fan.
Okay.
you know, so for us, if, you know, the camp comes and says, this is Pantera,
Then it's Pantera.
then it's Pantera. And like I say, all we need is a few thousand people around the world to agree with us. It's never something that's going to be mass produced.
Right.
That would be perfect.
Right.
But that would be something they would come to us and say they want to do. As we would.
Sure.
We wouldn't presume there.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, this has been a lot of fun, man. One more time, knucklebonz.com. The collectibles are fantastic. Make sure you go over there, check them out, buy yourself one. If you're any kind of a collector and you love this kind of music, there should be something there that you love. And Tony, thanks so much for joining us here on CHRIS Akin Presents.
Guys, my pleasure. Speak to you soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
All right, bye.
All right, see ya.